most important to you. And there's nothing more important to our office than the service to our residents. And that's why we're here today. We want to hear from you. And at this time, I would like to introduce our illustrious host for this town hall and our public relations manager, Mrs. Gina Anderson Ford.
It helps to be off of mute. Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to have you all join us this evening and to see so many familiar faces. We're so excited you took your time to come and be with us this evening. Tonight, we have the first virtual town hall, which is really a listening session for Council Member Edward Burroughs. And I know you're so excited to be here. He's excited you're here. We have been waiting for this moment. And without further ado, I want to just introduce your Council Member, Edward Burroughs.
Thank you so much. I first want to thank you for being here. I know many of you work long hours today, and some of you are on your way to work, but I'm honored that you joined us for our first.
Can't hear you, Council Member.
Can hear him.
I'm sitting here talking away.
I can hear him.
We can hear him.
Yes.
We can hear him.
Hear you loud and clear, sir.
I see. Can you hear me now?
We can now. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So just in case there was some holdup, I'm going to start from the beginning, which wasn't much, but I first want to thank you for being here. I know many of you work long hours today, and some of you are on your way to work, but I'm honored that you've joined us for our first town hall. I really wanted to have this town hall for two reasons. First, to update you on some things that my team has been able to accomplish in just 4 weeks. And second, to hear from you about what I can do to better serve your needs. My number one goal is to have the most responsive district office that promptly responds and works and supports the residents in District 8. While I have no direct authority over county agencies, that's the county executive, I do have the ability to help connect you with the right department and help put pressure on different agencies to ensure that we are all meeting the needs of District 8 residents. My team and I want to be at the PTO and PTA meetings, your civic association meetings. We've already attended a number of churches in the community. We even want to attend the basketball games and the Girl Scout meetings if we're invited. We want to have a very responsive office. And so when you call us to attend events, community meetings, civic association gatherings, whatever it is, we want to be present. I also want to focus on legislation that matters most to you. One of my most important jobs is to bring forth legislation and pass legislation to support the residents in this county. And I want to talk to you about just 3 of several bills that I have sent for drafting in a few moments. But before I move on, I wanted to introduce you to the District 8 office. I want you to know that we did our very best to assemble the best, most qualified team possible to serve you. Every single member in this office is here to serve and to work on your behalf. And so I'll start with our chief of staff, who will introduce himself, and then he'll pass it on to everyone else.
Good evening, and thank you, Council Member. My name is Brandon Cooper, and as Councilmember Burroughs said, I have the honor of serving as Chief of Staff, Legislative Aide. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a graduate of Howard University and also University of Maryland School of Law. Various experience in government, including working as a public information manager for DC Department of Transportation, and most recently as Chief of Staff for the Prince George's County Board of Education. I'm a first-generation college graduate, so education has always been a passion of mine. I'm also one of the co-founders of the 100 Black Men of Prince George's County mentoring organization here in the county, and helped establish our high school mentoring program. And so I'm just excited to continue doing great work with a great man, our council member in District 8. And so I'll just take a few moments to introduce some of our great staff, as you can see on the screen. First up will be Plachette Monroe. Plachette Monroe serves as our office manager and scheduler. And so if you ever want to have a meeting with Councilmember Burroughs, Plachette is the one to talk to. She's a lifelong Prince George's resident, went to Suitland High School, graduate of the great Bowie State University. She previously worked for the county council, was chief of staff for former county council member Karen Tolles. And you may also have seen her ushering at First Baptist Church in Glenarden, where she's been a member for over 20 years. Next up would be Arun Parakin. He's our Director of Community Engagement. Arun is a former teacher in the Prince George's County Public Schools at Accokeek Academy, teaching there for over 7 years. He's a graduate of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, just like Councilmember Burroughs, and also Notre Dame of Maryland University in Baltimore. He's currently pursuing his doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And so Arun is really point on everything and all things community. Working alongside him would be Colin Bird. I call him Mayor for Life. He's the former mayor of Greenbelt and currently on the city council there. He was the second ever elected to serve on this Black African American to serve on the city of Greenbelt City Council. He also served as a member of the Prince George's County Climate Action Commission and is a graduate of the University of Maryland. We also have Gina Anderson Ford. For those in District 8, she's no stranger. She's actually worked for the previous councilwoman, Anderson Walker, and she serves as our public relations specialist. She served in community managing District 8 events and is always out hosting our great webinars like tonight. She has over 30 years of executive management experience, collaborating with CEOs and board of directors of local government in the US and internationally. So we're really honored and glad to have her part of the District 8 team. And I know you guys are as well. She attended Pullman High School and raised her family and kids in District 8 until their high school years. And last but not least is our newest member of the District 8 Family Office, and that is Diane DaCosta. She has been an educator and teacher for years, including at a high school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and working at the middle school here in Washington, D.C. She's a graduate of the University of Virginia, and she actually starts on Monday. And so I'm very thankful for her to join us today, even before her first day. It shows you how committed our team is. And so we assembled the very best for District 8, and I know we all look forward to serving you. So I'll give it now back to Councilmember Burroughs to talk about his legislative priorities.
Thank you so much, Brandon. If we can go to the next slide. And so these are just 3 bills that we've sent to drafting. We've sent several bills to drafting. We have a lot more that I intend to send, but these are 3 that I'll highlight today. The first one, I knocked a lot of doors, probably knocked on some of your doors if you're, I guess everyone here is in District 8. And I heard repeatedly about the exorbitant property taxes and the impact that those taxes have on particularly our senior citizens in the county. And so just to give you some background, according to Section 9-258 of the Tax Property Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, it authorizes the counties to grant a property tax credit under this section for county property taxes imposed on eligible individuals. One of those categories of eligible individuals are individuals who are at least 65 years and older. State law further provides that the credit may not exceed 20% of the county's property tax and may be granted for a period of 5 years. And so this provision has not been used in Prince George's County. There are several other counties who have granted eligible individuals under this provision a property tax credit. Unfortunately, in Prince George's County, it has not occurred yet. There have been some very important attempts in the past to utilize this provision. In fact, in 2017, there was a bill by 3 council members to use this provision that did not pass. And then our councilwoman, Monique Anderson Walker, in 2019, attempted to use this provision. And unfortunately, it didn't pass then. And so it is my hope that working hand in hand with you, that together we could pass this provision. I don't have to tell you how important this would be to so many seniors across the county, but particularly in Prince George's County. And in fact, there was a bill to pass this a few weeks ago, and it was tabled indefinitely. And so I've reintroduced the bill. I intend to work with my colleagues on the nuances and kinks to really build a coalition of 6 members to pass it. It takes 6 members to pass the bill here. I've spoken to 5 of them that have indicated that they would be in support of this. And so I'll be working on 1 more. And I think that's an area where we can work together. And I look forward to working with you on that. So that's a property tax credit to reduce senior citizens' property taxes by 20%, which is the maximum that it's allowed under state law. But you would have to be in your home for at least 5 years. Now, the bill that failed 2 weeks ago, it was 30 years. You had to be in your house for 30 years. And then there were some concerns that that would not be far-reaching enough. At the same time, certain people voted for it at 30 years because the financial impact of the county would not have been as significant. And so I introduced it at 5 years. A negotiation will take place, and I doubt that it's going to stay at 5 years is what I'm saying, but this is where we're introducing it at. And I'll be working very hard to get that 6th vote. And I would love to work with you. If there's any resident that is kind of passionate about this, that's interested in working on this piece of legislation with me, interested in testifying about the impact of this, please, at the end of this, we're going to give out our email address and phone number. Please send us a message because I believe that one of the missing ingredients about why this has failed in the past is that we didn't organize the community around it. And I'm sure most people didn't even know that we voted on this a few weeks ago. The next is a project labor agreement on transportation projects. So this is something that I did when I was on the school board, project labor agreement. Essentially what a project labor agreement would do is tell businesses that if you want to work on this scope of work, you have to work through a labor union. And what that labor union will be, we could put the slide back up. What the labor union would do is recruit, hire, and train people who live in our community to work on those projects. If you go to a lot of the job sites in the county, unfortunately, you may see a lot of Virginia tags and DC tags, and that's great. I want everyone to have work, but I think it's important that we are very intentional about telling these contractors that you must hire Prince George's County residents. And not only that you must hire these residents, but by working through a union, they'll have healthcare, benefits, the training that is associated with it. So you might walk in not having the skills on day one, but the union will train you to do the work and also contribute to your retirement. So that's the second bill. We've taken the scope of work where we believe that there is high density here, that's transportation projects. And so that's one bill. Another one. The last one that I'll mention, and really this came up from door knocking. I knocked, like I said, I knocked so many doors, and I got a lot of complaints about healthcare in the county. And we have this brand new hospital that we've invested significantly in, but there's not enough personnel there. And so actually I have the poster behind me. It says safe staffing, save lives. And so we have this brand new hospital in the county. It's not adequately staffed. And so one of the bills that we've introduced or that we've sent to drafting essentially would incentivize nurses to come and work there, and we would pay some of their loans. And so I see I'm trying to follow the chat because it's moving, and we'll get to some of those during Q&A. But please circle back, and I'm happy to answer whatever's in the chat. So these are just 3 of the bills that we're working on now. Like I said, we've sent several others to drafting, but these are probably have come further along fastest. And so I'll turn it over to either Arun or Brandon. I'm not sure what's the next slide.
Yep, we'll give it over to Arun, who's now going to talk about constituent services and explain that process for those watching.
Okay.
So, there's nothing more important to our office than this piece, constituent services, direct community member engagement. But before we get into our process and plan and how we go about a business here in District 8, just want to make sure that everyone understands the branches of government here in Prince George's County, and as it relates to the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the Office of the County Executive, which is the executive branch. Here in the County Council, our main responsibility is to make and create laws and legislation. It's different than the judicial branch, which interprets the law, and then ultimately the County Executive's Office, which enforces. And it's important to understand that our responsibility is to do everything that we can to follow up on various issues and concerns that you have. I mean, our office has gotten so many concerns as it relates to the issues such as illegal dumping, abandoned vehicles, illegal businesses, trash, litter, noise complaints, speeding, road conditions. So our office, when we get these types of concerns and issues, what we do is we advocate and we send it to the agencies that are directly responsible for resolving them. On our end, we're able to elevate it and make sure that we're getting timely responses and advocating for that. The challenge becomes that as a legislative branch, we do not have the direct authority and oversight over various agencies, the popular ones including DPWT and DPI or police or Health and Human Services. We don't have direct authority and oversight. However, that really falls under the Office of the County Executive. But our responsibility is to make sure that we're walking with you every step of the way, that we're following up, that we're communicating with you, and that ultimately our goal is to be the most responsive county council office. And we plan and intend on doing so.
Turn the camera on. Turn your video on.
We can go to the next slide. So as far as our constituent services operation in-house, there are a couple of things that I think are important to go over. Number one are the community engagement statistics. We've been in the office, just about a month, and we have made and received 400 calls and emails. And of those 400 calls and emails, we have about, in full transparency, we have 50 open cases. So what does that mean? These are situations where whatever issue has been raised is not fully resolved. However, within those 50 cases, 75% have been successfully communicated to the various agencies who will be taking action on those. From our office, we do not believe that an issue is resolved until it's fully resolved. So if we just send it to the agency, we want to make sure that we're walking with you until there's a full resolution. And that's why sometimes cases are open, but we'll make sure that we're walking with you every step of the way and updating you on progress and communicating that to you. Now, in terms of our direct processes here, there's several different stages. So that way, how your phone calls or emails and other communications are handled. First, there's always an intake. And that means that we have to collect basic contact information. We have to update regarding, your community. What is the issue? And then ultimately, we're going to process those. And we're going to figure out, which member of our team is best suited to deal with the various concerns or issues or questions that you're raising. After that, collaboratively, we engage in problem solving. You all, members of the community have raised some very, not necessarily always unique concerns, but sometimes concerns and issues and questions that are very layered. So we have to engage in really in-depth problem solving to figure out the best way. And then there's a follow-up. So that follow-up is not only with whatever agency or with the council member, but also with you, so that not only have we acknowledged your question or your comment or your email or your phone call, but what steps we're taking in order to address it. And then this is where the work really comes in for us, is getting to that resolution. And this is something that, again, as the legislative branch in our role, sometimes that resolution takes a little longer because of the agencies that are associated. So for us, we plan on being the most responsive office. We're going to communicate with you. We're going to walk with you every step of the way in order to ensure timely resolutions. But again, we're not always able to ensure the utmost timeliness, but you can rest assured that we will be supporting you again every step of the way.
And I see a question from Mr. Scott that maybe you, Arun, or Colin, maybe you can answer, because I think this is a really important question to answer. How does our process, how do we interface with 311? If we could just talk about that, I think that'll be helpful for everyone to understand.
You want to take that, or you want me to take that, Arun?
Please, Colin.
Thank you, Arun, and thank you for your question, Mr. Scott. So, Mr. Scott, as you may know, 311 is a function of the executive branch. It falls under the county executive. I'm sorry, it falls under the county executive, and specifically under the Office of Community Relations. As you may know, I believe it was last week or the week before, they held a launch party for a revamping of 311, and so they have switched some of the back-end data processing over from the old system. So we're crossing our fingers that there will be some significant improvements, but I think it's a little early for us to know for sure kind of what that looks like. But basically that is under the executive branch, but we in our office, we directly work with 311 on these issues as applicable as they're raised. And so we do coordinate with the county executive's office with 311 to follow up on things that come in. And I'll give you a couple of examples. It could be something as small as, and I don't want to say that this is small because it's a big issue, but something like trash, issues related to streets, road safety, all of these things come in through 311, and we do have to coordinate and following up on these with 311. But I guess what Arun was saying is that we do use a layered and multi-pronged approach to try to address these issues. So 311 is not the only way that we follow up on these things, but it is definitely one of the tools in our toolbox as we look to resolve these things. And, from my perspective, from Arun's perspective, it's all about getting the best possible resolution in a timely fashion for the constituent. So I don't know if that answers your question, but we do interface with 311.
Yeah, and I know sometimes it's helpful for us to get your 311 number, your ticket number. And that ticket number, we're then able to go to that agency and say, hey, what is the status of this ticket number? So in that way, we work hand in hand with it. So we can go to the next slide. So I guess this is my slide. So one of the things that we did the first few weeks, and I want to thank everyone who participated, was a call-a-thon. We are open to doing more of that. Essentially, what we do is we block out a period of time. I think a few weeks ago it was from 3 to 7 p.m. where anyone in District 8 could call me and talk to me directly. Without booking an appointment, without any of those things, you just call my office number. I'm here, pick up the phone and talk with you. I'm not sure, maybe Arun, you'll know. Do you know how many people called into our last call, Arun?
So we had about 40 calls from residents.
Yeah, so about 40 people called. We spoke to them. I know my president called, President Taylor, see her on the line. I know President Monroe called. She's also on the line. And so just an opportunity for any resident to call and talk about anything that you want. If you have a concern, if you want to invite me someplace, just one of the tools that we intend to utilize so that we are in direct communication. I never want you to feel like you can't reach me directly, or that I'm not hearing your concern or I'm not working on your concern personally. So that's what Engage with Ed Call-a-thon was. And we intend to do that moving forward. This is a town hall. there are certain department heads. So I know that there are certain communities that are being plagued with excessive litter and illegal dumping. And so I've spoken to the director of the Department of the Environment, and she's willing to have a town hall with me around those issues. There's certain, where was the call-a-thon announced? It was announced using the same methods as this town hall. So we sent it out to our email blast. I know several of our civic leaders sent it out, and I'm just responding to a question that I see in the chat. So, so that's how it was announced, using the same methods as this. But if there is a better method, we'll get to that later on in the program, and I look forward to hearing from you if there are ways that we can better publicize what we're doing. Virtual town halls. Also, for example, there are some communities who are have concerns around public safety, and I'm happy to have a town hall with the police chief. There's certain communities that are very interested in economic development, and I'm happy to bring in that department. And so if there are particular issues that you want to hear directly from the agency leaders that run those departments, let me know, and I'm happy to have virtual town halls with them. Community walks. I've had several community leaders who said, hey, we have issues in our community that we want you to see, that we want your team to come out and see. If there are any, civic leader or resident that's interested in having our team come out and walk your community with you, we're happy to do that. I know that there's a community in Fort Washington that has one spot where there is constant illegal dumping. And so I spoke with the director of the environment, and we're going to, I don't want to say too much, but there is a program that's run through the county where they're putting up cameras to catch people who illegally dump. And so I want to make sure that in those hotspot areas, that District 8, that we have our cameras in place, that we're able to catch these people and bring them to justice to ensure that this doesn't happen again. We're open to attending community events. Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the community events that we attended, I see Pat Jackson, who was a long time PTSA president at Crossland High School, who served many, many years remarkably. She was PTSA president when I was there and served many years. She's also a very active member of St. Paul Church. She just put in the chat, okay, it was a direct chat to me. I thought everyone could see it. We've done vaccination clinics. We've attended vaccination clinics. We can set up vaccination clinics. So whatever community event that you have, please feel free to invite us, someone on the team. We would love to be there. One of the things that I'm thinking about having is a bi-weekly check-in with anyone who wants to join, but particularly our civic association leaders and presidents, just so that if something comes up, I'm able to hear it, I'm able to engage with you. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be a standing meeting potentially every Monday at a certain time, and I can let you know the status of the different bills that we're working on. You can let me know what's happening in the community. I was a part of a community meeting, I guess it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and they had the police commander there giving updates about the different crimes that are taking place and what we need to do as a community to lower crime in certain places. And so that's another thought that we're thinking about. The point of it all is that we want to be very accessible to you. We want to communicate with you. We want to hear from you. Appreciate a request more and more art programming opportunities. Sister Joy, great seeing you. I look forward to speaking with you. And this is going to be there's going to be an opportunity for you to raise this concern a little bit later. And I look forward to working with you on those. So long story short, we are here. Every member of this team is here to serve and work with you. We want to be visible. We want to walk your communities with you. We want to attend your civic associations, your churches. We've been to several churches so far. And we are open to doing more call-a-thons as well.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, Ms. Norris. We're going to open it up in just 1 second.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem. All right, can we go to the next slide? think this is Gina. Oh, Gina, you're on mute.
Councilmember Burroughs, thank you for that overview. We appreciate that. So I think all of you have probably heard one word a lot: engage. We are going to be engaging with you. We are a county office that really wants engagement, want to hear from you. And as the council member said, the call-a-thon, we're going to be doing those in the near future. And you can call and directly speak with him, not one of us. He takes the call personally. So that went really well. But before we go into the rest of the evening, I want you to know that we're going to do the listening session part now. And I want to ask that the comments are limited to 1 minute per person to ensure that as many residents as possible have a chance to speak. We have almost 200 people registered, and we're almost at that number. So we want to hear from everyone. And if you would like to speak, we ask that you type your city and the topic of your comments in the chat box. Some of you have already been doing that. And I will call on you by your name and we'll unmute you. We'll ask you to unmute yourself, I'm sorry, when you're ready to speak. We're going to ask everybody to be respectful. Everybody take their turn in speaking. We will get to you. But before we do that, we have a few questions we'd like to pose to you. And this is to everyone. So engagement, results, being intentional, that's really the theme of this office. And we would like to know, first of all, we're at the pulse of the community. We're already out there. We know the needs that we've heard because we have been engaging, but there's no time like this present time to continue to hear from you on what your needs are. So the first question is, what are the most pressing issues that our community is facing? I'm asking all of you. If you have that answer, go ahead and put it in the chat box. We're keeping a rolling list of these things. Again, the question is, what are the most pressing issues that our community is facing? Now, don't all jump at once. Okay, here they come. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for keep doing that. And we're going to go ahead and go to one of the questions. Ms. Fagans, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, Council Member
Ms. Fagans?
Burroughs. Yes, can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We'll move on to the next person.
Oh my God.
Norcia.
No, we can hear you.
I can hear her.
Gina, I heard it, Ms. Fagan.
We hear you.
We
Yeah, I
you.
hear.
One moment.
Oh, okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Ms. Fagan.
Felicia Jackson. I saw you
Oh, no.
with a lot of
Gina?
comments in there. Can you
Gina.
unmute and ask your
Hey,
question?
Gina. I
Or
can
make your
hear
comment?
I can hear Ms. Fagans.
Hello, I'm here.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Council Member Barrows, thank you. One of my questions was about the, when you talked about the loan assistance program for the nurses. I also asked about for the PG teachers.
Yeah,
And my other question was about the noise in the, community and the trash, but it looked like several people have put that in already.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely appreciate that recommendation around the repaying teacher loans. One of the bills that I have looked at doing is how do we incentivize the best teachers to teach in some of the most challenging schools? And so we are looking at potential legislation around that. Now, unfortunately, the council has very little authority over the school system. I see Board Member Queen has joined us, Belinda Queen has joined us. And so that will require a little more coordination with the school system, but it is something that I'm looking at. Certainly, how do we attract some of our high performing educators in some of our schools with the most need? The reality is, so when you look at some of the schools that are struggling the most, they've been struggling for quite some time. And unless there is a intervention, meaningful intervention, one of those interventions could be, how do we recruit as much talent in those buildings as possible and keep them there? the cycle will continue. And so we are looking at that for educators.
Thank you so much. And did you address the other question? Was somebody already had put that question in the chat about the noise? So I'll let them, ask that question.
Yeah. So there are different types of noise complaints that we've received. And I was just recently in a meeting with folks near National Harbor, and there are a lot of noise issues there. Are you talking about like noise complaints that are from businesses or just from your neighbors?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about more of the noise from the Oxon Hill football field when they have many events. The speaker is so loud, seems like it's right in my backyard. But rather than that, them having a game is not the problem. It's the loud speaker and the loud music. But lately it hasn't been too bad because they haven't had the music and just the game. So, but that's something I had talked to you about long time ago, and you came and met with me long time ago before the COVID as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember exactly where you are, where you live. And so that's something that we can follow up with Principal Holland on, to be cognizant of that. I do remember at one point in time, the custodial staff were blasting loud music as they were cleaning up the field before and after. I think that issue was resolved. And so that issue is still happening. I have no problem with reaching out to the principal about that.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fagans. I apologize. I was having some technical difficulties over here, but we're back. Okay, so now we want to go to Ms. Norcia. Okay. Valicia Jackson. And I see some hands raised, and we will get to you all as well, okay? Thank you, Valicia.
Good evening. Welcome to the district officially as a council member, Mr. Burroughs and Ms. Anderson Walker. Yeah, I know you've been on and the rest of the team. Thank you for this. I'm just looking forward to, I know everybody has the different issues that matter the most to them, and they're all important. I don't think you can rank any of them. They're all something that need to be addressed. And I think one of the biggest challenges of what I would like to see from you as my council person is a focus on folks understanding the legislative process. So whether it be infographics, things that are in a very easy to read, short snippets, to have that information handed out on a regular basis, whether it be through Nextdoor, email listservs, newsletters, because I think that's one of our biggest challenges is that we don't, as individuals, understand the process, and therefore we cannot affect change where we want to see in crime, speeding, trash, because we don't understand the process. That's been one of the biggest things that I have seen since being a member of the county. That has led to a lot of confusion for a lot of folks, and why we haven't gotten as many things done. There's like the HOPE program about the home ownership repairing. People don't know, they're not connected to what already exists in the county. There's lots that already exist in the county, but people aren't clear on that, on how to get those resources. So I see that as one of your major roles that I would like to see from you. I know people stood up with the district, with the council meetings when it came to redistricting. And there was a lot of brouhaha initially, and we were very deflated when that vote came down, but then it went through the court system and there was not much follow-up. So I don't even know that people fully understand where that landed. Because they're not involved and engaged, and you should not need to have a law degree to be a part of the legislative process and to understand that. So otherwise, good luck. I sent my email to you, Colin. I sent it to you directly as opposed to in the main email. But I believe Gina, Ms. Anderson Ford has my contact information somewhere. I can send it to her again as well. I look forward to connecting with you all. Thank you.
Thank you,
No,
Felicia. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
your comments. And I
Okay,
think,
let's go to
Oh,
Cynthia. You
hey,
had a
Gina,
question
I don't
about
think you're-
31. Can't
are
hear
you
me.
able to hear me, Gina?
311.
I think her volume is down on her computer.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on one second. Okay. So just to respond to Ms. Jackson, thank you so much. I think you're spot on with that. I think that's very helpful advice. So some of the notes that I took is that we absolutely need infographics to make the legislative process digestible, easy. We might even need to do some short videos on each of the bills that we're doing. And then also, I love you mentioned next door, because I know I've received a lot of information from Nextdoor through constituents. And so one of the things that we need to do as an office is set up a Nextdoor account so that we're able to monitor and see what's happening in each of the communities in District 8. And so I think that was very helpful feedback. And so I know Arun, we will make sure that we set up our Nextdoor account. And as a team, we will do the infographics and do what we can to engage people in a way that they can understand it. As far as redistricting, the map that the council passed was taken to court. It was overturned at the Prince George's County Circuit Court. The county then appealed that decision, Judge Snoddy's decision, to the Maryland Court of Appeals, which is the highest court, which is our equivalent to the Maryland Supreme Court. And the Court of Appeals upheld Judge Snoddy's ruling. So the map that is in place is the nonpartisan redistricting commission map. And so that will keep Camp Springs, all of Camp Springs in District 8. And we're not going to pick up those additional precincts in Clinton. And so I hope that was helpful. But I completely agree with you that if there is important information, we need to distribute that in a digestible way. So I appreciate that. Gina?
Thank you, council member. Thank you, Felicia. Good to see you. Cynthia, I think you had a question about 311. Are you still with us? The floor is yours if you want to unmute.
Yes, the only thing I had a question about on 311, if we already have existing tickets requested that are supposedly in process, is this going to follow through with the new system that they said they have?
I believe that they will. I'm going to turn over to Colin, who works intimately with that.
Thank you, Councilmember Burroughs, and thank you, Ms. Cynthia, for your question. So the short answer, and I'm happy to follow up with you directly if you contact our office outside of this context, but the short answer is it depends, because they recently switched over. And I do know that if the request came in before a certain date, it's still going to be on the old system. They're not transferring it over, but what they've done is they're keeping the old system in-house just to follow up on those old complaints. And so they still have both systems running, and then the new system would take in the new complaints. So the short answer in terms of so the short answer is they should be following up on it, but depending on when it came in, they'll be following up on it through the old system rather than the new system. You can still use 311. You can still share with us the 311 number, and we can still follow up on it. But in terms of which system it's going to be coming under, the old or the new, it's all going to depend on when that request actually originated.
Okay, thank you. Because I have requested it like 4 times under the existing number, and they keep telling me, well, let me push it forward. Let me put an urgent on this. Because what it had to do with is a vacant home that was sold to a quick flipper, did not use any permits, revitalized the entire home, and now has another person trying to move into it and is having trouble with the home. So they kind of said they wanted to put it on urgent, but they didn't know how to.
Yep. Colin, if you can reach out to Ms. Cynthia directly so that we can get those ticket numbers. So Ms. Cynthia, if you can put your email address inside the chat so that Colin can follow up with you, and we're happy to do what we can in that regard.
Okay. Again, I see hands raised, but we're going to continue to go through the chat and we will come to you. I promise. I see your hands raised. Drea, can you unmute yourself and pose your question or comment, please?
Yes, this is Andrea, and I live at the Marconi apartment complex. And my
Welcome.
question, and I've been living here for 13 years. And I just feel like the property of the complex is going down. The pools have not been opened in about 3 years. I can understand due to the pandemic. I can understand that. But then the units are not being cleaned. Like they do have a cleaning person that comes to clean the buildings. But for some strange reason, I feel like the back of the buildings are being neglected, which can bring rodents into the units. And that's a concern that I have. And I also have a concern about all of the cameras that are being posted up on the doors, inside of the hallways. It's a safety issue for me because I travel on the bus and I get up early in the mornings, and I would hate to have to, wonder if someone is watching my whereabouts or if I'm being stalked by someone that's checking on my times that I come in or leave the building or what time I'm getting back. It's a safety issue for me. And I've been complaining to the rental office for the past couple of years now. And I seem like it's falling on deaf ears. And then I don't understand why the rental office is not opened on the weekends when they know that half of the people in this complex are working Monday through Fridays. But then on Saturdays and Sundays, they're closed. So how are we supposed to get repairs and stuff done? I have a unit that's really broke down because every time I try to get some repairs done, the rental office is closed.
Thank you for sharing. And I would love to, Colin, if we could follow up and set up a meeting with her apartment management company to go over these concerns. District 8 is not a place for slumlords. So to the extent that we can be helpful, we're happy to do that. When you registered, I guess we have everyone's email address. Is that right, Gina?
Hello?
We do, yes. And
Okay.
yeah, and let me just say this, we have so many questions, and this is really supposed to be our listening session. We are listening to your questions. I get that. But we want to continue to move along. We asked everybody to try to keep it to a minute too. We have all the questions, and we'll have copies of the questions that you have posed, and we will be having a town hall next month that will be providing answers to all of the questions that have been posed. So if you don't get an answer tonight, trust me, we're going to do that next month.
So, do we have Drea's contact information so that we can follow up with her?
Yes,
we do.
And let me say this, if you're calling on a phone from a cell phone, we need you to put your email address in the chat now because we don't know who you are and your name. And also, let me just take this time, if you are not receiving our newsletter that we send out every 2 weeks and you'd like to receive that, please put your email address also in the chat.
Well, hold on. I would prefer them not to put in the chat because I don't want people taking their email address. I don't know who's online. So in the end, let's we'll have our email address on the slide and people can email it to get connected that way. Because I don't want folks' personal information out like that.
Unless they're comfortable, right? Okay. Okay. Council
emails.
Understand. So we'll be giving you the email at the end of the time, but we will be asking if you want to get our newsletter to go ahead and send that as well. Let me go back to one of the questions that we have for you that's very important for us. What are the important legislation pieces you want us to consider? The council member shared the legislation that he's posed already, but we want to know some of the things that you're interested in him posing. And we'd love for everybody to take a moment now and put it in the chat. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that.
And while that's happening, I know Ms. Norris, I see you're back.
Can we email our concerns to him?
Of course. Yes.
Because we have some deep concern in we live in the same neighborhood and it's just deteriorating. So
Okay, Ms. Fitzgerald.
we're trying to get the homes, you know, as far as the trailers and stuff out the neighborhood. So I'll get them in a one-on-one, and then we can send an email to you so you see what my concerns are. I have to go to another meeting.
Okay, let me give you an email address right now, and then it will be posted again. It is council district number 8. Council District 8 at co.pg.md.us.
Okay.
And it is also in the chat for everybody, but we will have a slide at the end to show it to everyone.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Night. Okay, so
Ms.
let's go
Ms.
back.
Norris,
Oh, Ms. Norris.
you're on mute, Ms. Norris.
Oh, Yvette Norris.
Oh,
Can you
I
hear
thought it
me?
was,
Hello?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me now?
We can hear
Yes.
you, Ms. Norris.
Oh,
Yes.
hello, everybody. Good evening. Councilman Burroughs, I remember you in From the Heart Ministries
hey,
under Pastor Terry. So I'm gonna still make it quick. I'm engaging with you guys about the Marconi Apartments. I've lived here since 2016, and I'm being intimidated by them and put out with a lot of because I'm speaking up about the slum lords that they are. I'm concerned about management because management has stated that they've been in my apartment without notifying me. And also that there's sewage that has come out of over the years out of the toilet, the sink, and the tub, and then there's a storage that's to my left that plumbing problems that they have, and it flushed through, and it's sewage that had came from someone's toilet busting pipes, and it went all the way into the kitchen, and I was mopping it. In my den, there's mold in my den from a saturated leak that was in the storage, and I've complained over and over again. At one time, they were doing email pay your rent sort of like thing, and so it was like being documented that they were coming in doing certain maintenance, but they have since then asked me to vacate at the end of my lease. My lease is over May 31st. And I was told that my daughter moved out in November 2021. And I told her that the apartment that I had, I couldn't afford a 2-bedroom and let me have a 1-bedroom. And Miss Holly Stewart, the lady, excuse me, yes?
I'm just saying, yeah, this is a very important issue, and we appreciate you venting it. We would love, because it sounds like it's a little in-depth. Would you mind?
Ma'am.
Yeah, would you mind emailing us, or we can call you and speak on this on a different, after the meeting, like tomorrow, sometime this week?
Yeah, I did email and call. I emailed it.
Yes, this is the Marconi. We are dying for help over here.
Understand.
Okay. So I know you.
And I appreciate that all of you are on this call together. That shows there is unity in it. So we want to help you all.
hey,
Correct.
I don't see Brandon, but I see Plachette. Let's take a visit there tomorrow. And let's let Ms. Norris and Ms. Drea know when we're coming, but we'll be there tomorrow. What you've described is completely unacceptable.
Right.
And I will be there tomorrow.
Something about the water too, because they're turning once a week.
You just broke, Miss.
The water is being turned on once a week because there's something always wrong with the water in this community. So maybe y'all need to figure out what's going on because it's bringing rodents into this complex.
I hear you both loud and clear. What you described is completely unacceptable.
Yes.
And that is why I will be there tomorrow. And Brandon, if you could organize a time so that they know when I'm coming and contact the management of the apartment complex.
Not trying to get evicted.
We'll reach out and
Okay.
set that up 100%.
So the council member said he will be there tomorrow. So thank you for all coming on together to let us know about the problem, and the team will be there tomorrow for you all. Thank you, Ms. Norris. So I'm going to move on. Did all of you all put in the chat for us what your important legislation pieces were? I didn't see many in there. We need to hear from you on that. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment and putting it in there for us, that'd be great. Thank you so much. And then and remember, this is a listening session. We only have we're trying to just give everybody a minute, and we're not going to get to answer everything, but we are going to do our best. If they're in the chat box, again, we will be addressing all of these, and our next month's town hall, we will be giving answers and feedback on what you're asking. So I'm sorry, we only have an hour and a half, and we're going to keep that. But let me go next to Karen DeMajango. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Are you here with us?
Hi, I am. I posted my question on the chat.
Okay.
And I can follow up with an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attending tonight. We appreciate you. Ron Weiss. Ron, would you like to unmute and pose your question or comment, please?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for hosting this. My main concern is the safety on 210, and we have two issues with that. We have a sunset clause in the enabling legislation that requires a report by the end of this year to document how effective the speed cameras are. And the data that the Automated Enforcement Division is putting out is so bad quality, so poor quality, that I don't believe that the sunset will be extended, and I'm worried we'll lose our speed cameras. And the second issue is, while it looks like the speed cameras have been effective in reducing speeds on 210, there are a small minority of drivers that have gone as much as 160 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour on 210. And there are people who get multiple speed camera tickets. We think that the $40 fine is just insufficient for getting their attention. And so we're pressing our state legislators to introduce a bill to add or increase the fines for egregious speeders. They are reluctant to do that. And so I'm hoping that I can get county level support to our state legislators to change their minds about that. Thank you.
So, I mean, you raised a very important concern. That's the safety of 210. We were in meetings probably about 2 weeks ago, and Brandon, you might want to chime in on this regarding the amount of money that essentially we were under the impression that a lot more money coming from the gaming revenue would go to fix 210, and it's a very small drop in the bucket. It is a very, very, very small drop in the bucket. I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Brandon, I think we have like 5 million, and we need. Brandon, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, so definitely a small amount of number. We need tens of millions of dollars and not more to fully fix 210. And so we're working with our legislative partners, General Assembly, and while we can't obviously vote for it, we definitely can support it. And we're just trying to find solutions, because that is definitely, as we all know, an ongoing issue. And we are working with our partners to try to get a handle. But definitely the money that is allocated from MGM, it helps, but it's not the end all be all. There's going to be additional resources that have to come. As always, a continuing challenge is finding the money from the county or state levels, but that's something that we are coordinating with our partners on.
I mean, to be clear, it is a very, it will, the money that the county has set aside based off the revenue from MGM will never add up to what's needed to fix 210. It's the briefing that we've received. So we really will have to rely on our state partners to help in that regard. But it's definitely something that's on our radar. And I will also look into the fines for speeding on 210 at $40. I would tend to agree with you that if you're engaging in excessive speeding, and we know that 210 has been used as a lot of drag racing and all those, a $40 fine is probably insufficient to deter that behavior. And so, Gina, I know we have a few people that I see on the screen that have had their hands up for a while.
Yes, I'm going to go to Dr. Antoine Brown. How are you, Antoine?
I'm good, Gina. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being a part of this good team. Councilman Burroughs, Brother Burroughs, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for doing this forum. We here at Birchwood have some issues, and I've seen Miss Sharon Sims on tonight, and it's some other of my constituents. I'm the president over at Birchwood, and we have two major problems that I'm going to bring up. One is not directly in Birchwood, and the other one is we have a flooding issue over here. As you know, some of my constituents said you knocked on the door, so that's good. So some type of bill that will help us with the stormwater portion and the flooding and draining in our community will be helpful. And the second one is where the new Lido is, in Charlie's. I know this is not what your office deal with. I just want to bring it to your awareness because I don't think anybody ever speaks about it. It's a bad area to come out and try to make a left turn. So it's a lot of accidents right off of Livingston Road, and it's Oxon Hill Square. I think that's what the shopping center's name. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to come out of there, it's a really bad left turn, bad right turn, coming up that hill, going back and forth. Many accidents over the years, some really dangerous ones. So I want you to be concerned about that. And also, it's a speed camera right there that it was just put up, taken down. I don't know if it worked. So some of the community members have reached out to me about that and just wanted to see if it's working, if it's not working, what's the deal on it, so we can be safe, have safety right there by Birchwood Drive.
No, I appreciate you, Dr. Brown, Dr. Brother Brown, for bringing this to our attention. And we'll follow up with you as it relates to the traffic concern, also the flooding, and everything else that you mentioned. I'll make sure that I see Colin's here taking notes. And if you want, we can bring a full cadre of folks to your next Civic Association meeting, because I know in Fort Washington, the DCO of several of the agencies who's responsible for infrastructure in the county is working with them on their flooding issues. And so we can absolutely loop them into Birchwood. And as I'm working on issues in the budget, we can prioritize that. And we'll look into the traffic camera and also that left turn. And we're happy to come to your next Civic Association. And so please make sure we get that as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Brown and Council Member. Ernest Green, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? I see two of you.
There's two of us.
Okay, all righty. Welcome.
Okay,
thank you for coming on.
Okay, the first concern I have is I live right next to National Harbor. My backyard abuts the road that leads out of National Harbor, and there's motorcycles that gather at that gas station at McDonald's, and all they do is run up and down. I know you've heard this before, run up and down National Harbor, the streets, and then they come out and they leave. And they zoom, and cars is speed, and speed is noise all day long. I want that addressed. And the second thing is the pit bull law is not being tended to. The people are coming in Prince George's County with those pit bulls. I think that you all should have some kind of system where you announce to all Prince Georgians that that law is in effect. I don't know how you could do it, but a lot of people don't know. They don't even know about that law.
Mhm.
And also the 311, we've called on commercial trucks being parked in our residential areas, and they're not being ticketed. And I know you said you're going to revamp the 311, so hopefully you'll be able to address that, because they're parking them, you know, trailers, all kinds of trucks, tractor trailers on residential streets, and you can't even get by with your car.
Mm.
So I would like your phone number, Edward Burroughs, so I can call you and follow up. I've sent you an email already. Oh, what is that? 301 952 3860.
There you go.
Okay.
And
Thank
that
you very much.
Thank you for posing those. We know about the pit bull ban and the noise, so we'll be addressing those. Thank you so much for bringing those to our attention. Keith Lee, how are you? Can you unmute?
Yes, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing great, doing good.
How you doing, council member? I definitely want to real quick. Couple of issues that we have from the Camp Springs Boys and Girls Club is I need an audience to speak with regarding project charges. So we were a long-standing recipient of project charges, reimbursable project charges, and it was a tremendous to our organization for the actual sports program that we provide. During the pandemic, we were removed from that list, and it's been almost impossible to gain an audience to even talk about or figure out how do we get back on the list because we were shut down due to the pandemic. But now we're trying to run again, and it's been just extremely difficult.
Project chargers?
Project charges?
No, I didn't understand what is it that?
Yeah, a project charge? Yes, so a project for, in the county budget. We were receiving reimbursable project charges, and it's basically what I would consider to be reimbursable grant money. And we spend it and we can get it back. It's on very specific things, following those guidelines. We're no longer receiving those project charges, and it's extremely difficult for us financially, right? To continue doing what we do for the community. The Camp Springs Boys and Girls Club is basically, we are a community-based organization and is run by all volunteers. We are a legitimate nonprofit organization and a unit member of the PG County Boys and Girls Club. So we're trying to, really work and, build that relationship with your office so that there's not so much distance between us and, your office, and we can kind of work out certain issues that we may have.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, sir.
Was it the council office that got you the project charges before?
Yes.
Okay.
Initially, initially. And
why were you taken off the list?
I'm sorry?
And why were you taken off the list?
We're not sure. We was never really given an answer. I assumed it was because, due to the pandemic, we were down for 1 year. And, I guess we weren't in that cycle. We didn't spend any money that year because we didn't have any programs. Mm-hmm. And so all the year we got started again, I was informed that we're no longer on that list. And I couldn't even get an answer as to, why we weren't placed back on the list.
Who told you were not on the list? What agency is this?
I'm sorry?
What agency told you that you were not on the list?
It was PG Parks and Planning that was administering the actual grant money. So in other words, we send our budget proposal to them, and then as we spend the money, we send all of that information to them so that we can get reimbursed. So they were the administrator at Parks and Planning. So when I wasn't contacted last year, I reached out to them and they couldn't tell me why. All they know is I'm not on the list, and I mean they really didn't care. I mean they administer who's designated to receive those reimbursement grants.
Got it. And so
I also had a meeting with Senator Patterson, and one of the things he mentioned, he was well aware of the project charges because he was instrumental when he was in office to actually, as a council member, to actually get us the charges. So, I mean, basically he said, hey, that's a stroke of a pen to get us back in. But we have to be able to get the audience with a council member to actually, kind of get that worked out. And we just haven't been able to do that. Some of the, emails or, calls, they just go unanswered. So we've had the Camp Springs Civic Association, which has been a godsend for us. They've been advocating for us and they've been trying to actually work it as well. So that's one of our main issues. And what I would really like, sir, is to be able to sit with you. I have a briefing that I could provide to you that kind of shows, where we are, what we do, and the kind of help that we actually need from a Boys and Girls Club standpoint, so we can continue functioning.
I'm very supportive of youth engagement and activities. And so, Plachette's on the line, and let's meet next week.
Okay, great. Just let me know who I need to contact.
And I guess when you registered, you gave us your email address and your phone number?
Yes, I didn't give my phone number, but you do have only when I registered.
Okay, yeah, let's meet. Let me just look at my calendar for actually we can do it offline, but
yeah, why don't we let Flechette can connect with him now in a private message.
Yeah, his email
I think
address.
that'd be great. Okay, perfect.
Great, thank you so much.
Yep, it looks like anytime after 3 o'clock on Monday will work. So please coordinate and let me know.
That time will work for me, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That time works for you?
Yes.
All right, well then, there it is.
It'll work for me, sir.
I'll see you 3 o'clock on Monday.
All right, thank you.
Wow, you all see how this engagement is working? He's going out to Marconi Apartments tomorrow. You coming in on Monday, Keith? All right, this is good stuff. I do too. Okay, we're going to have a couple more questions. As you all can see, it's almost at the 8 o'clock hour. So we have all of your questions in the chat. Trust me, we're going to print those off. Nothing you've asked is going in somewhere else. We are going to address those, but we won't be able to address all of them tonight. We just can't. We will be here till probably 2 o'clock in the morning, I think. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. So let's go to Sister Joy Alfred. How are you doing, Sister Joy?
Hey, Sister Joy.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening. I'm doing very well. Very happy to be here. Glad I could make this town hall and welcome Council Member Edward Burroughs to District 8. We're very happy to have you here. We got our sleeves rolled up and we got work to do, and we're ready to help you do it. One of the things, certainly everybody who knows me knows I'm the arts advocate, primarily poetry, but all things arts I'm very much interested in. And with regard to what's happening specifically in District 8 is something that makes a difference in the quality of lives for not just our children, not just our teens, not just adults, not just elders, but everybody. So we're hoping that that message can become a thread that runs through Prince George's County District 8. The arts are essential. So we want to make sure that everyone realizes that if you're trying to create a culture in a given area, District 8 can be the leader for Prince George's County to show the quality of the arts changes the trajectory of a community. Please let us find what it is that the community wants and then put funding in it and provide opportunities, not just for the community, not just for the artists, but for everybody. And that's how we bring people to the arts when there's both educational opportunity, training, and funding, and we can bring them in at any age, and we can showcase that talent to the world.
Thank you, Sister Joy. Well said.
I look forward to working with you on that, Sister Joy. Do you have a nonprofit, or what entity do you normally work with?
Well, frankly, I've been simply an advocate for the arts just in my own right for over 30 years. But for the last 4 years, I've been serving as the Poet Laureate of Prince George's County. So I wear that hat. I also, for the last 19 years, have served as the president of the poetry ministry of Ebenezer AME Church. I'm also the founder of a poetry ensemble called Collective Voices, and we've performed as far away as London. And I host and produce a television show called Sojourn with Words, where we bring poets on to share poetry and talk about how poetry makes a difference in lives. Just today, I interviewed a poet from Ireland on my show. And for those who know poetry for many, many years, you remember the movie Love Jones. The young man who was the featured poet whose story that was, Reggie Gibson, was also one of my poets that I interviewed. And you'll be seeing these programs coming up in months to come because we record far in advance. We've been on air now for 16 years. So let us know.
Excellent.
We want to showcase the arts.
Excellent. Love Jones is one of my favorites. Okay, so now we have two more and then we're gonna have to kind of close out. Taysa Arrington. Taysa, are you here with us still?
Oh, you said Arrington?
Yeah, I said Tasha Arrington.
Oh, that's not me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, how about Curtis Steen Wardley? And we're going in the order that they came in, so I hope you all understand that's how we're calling everyone out. Okay, Keith, Steve Tucker.
Miss Gina, this
Yes.
is Colvin.
Yes.
The three names that I see up are William Knuckles.
Yeah, those are, we actually going through the list of the chat calling. Those are the hands.
Got
Right.
you.
Yeah, but I
Oh, they-
appreciate it. Yeah, Monique Taylor, we're gonna go back to them in just a minute. Monique Taylor. I saw she was here. Monique, are you still here?
I'm
There she
here,
is.
but I didn't have a, only thing I'm gonna say is, thank you. This was a fantastic town hall meeting. And we are looking forward to working with this great team. So everyone, please give them all your support. And because they're doing a fantastic job and they're trying to get things done for the community. So let's be patient and let's work together. Thanks.
Thank you. That's so nice. And on that note, I mean, I think we're going to wrap it up. I just want to thank everyone.
Hold on. I see three hands
Okay,
that have been up for a while.
Okay, all right, we'll do that.
And also,
okay.
if you have to jump off, feel free. But I've seen these three hands for a little while.
Understand. Okay, yeah, we'll do those. Okay. I thought we wanted to let everybody go. And Abel, we're gonna go. William Knuckles, you're next. How are you doing, William? It's gotten dark outside. I was seeing you a little bit. You've been off for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Welcome to your new job. I just wanted to draw your attention to an agreement that the county has had with the developer of the National Harbor area that dates back to 2008. So this spans multiple county executives, two predecessors of yours in District 8, but is always sort of pushed off to the side. The general tenet of the agreement was supposed to get something back from the loss of recreational opportunities when National Harbor was built. So it's really a service that was supposed to be provided back to the loss of particularly the waterfront access areas. And I'd just like to get with you sometime to sort of explain to you if this overlaps with the police department, the parks department, the developer, and agreements with prior administration. So it's a little messy, but there are things that were supposed to come to the public to be sort of a return for their investment and some giving of some public lands for the development of National Harbor. The public was supposed to get some things back, and that has never happened. And it's still just languishing there, but it exists. It's in writing. It's largely lost to the annals of county history. But I think the public should, if public's going to give some land to somebody in the private sector, the public should get something back for it. I'd love to work with you on that to making sure that actually happens.
Absolutely. Let's stay in contact, and any agreement that exists, if it's in writing, please email it to us. And if you want to meet, just reach out to that email address and we can set it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. Thanks for your patience again. Dwayne Stepter, how are you doing, Dwayne?
Doing great. Good evening, all. I bring you greetings from Italian South Civic Association. Welcome, Council Member Barrows. I look forward to speaking with you, working with you. The question that I have is that is on a budget question. I understand that FY23 there's been a surplus for the state for budget, a surplus in the budget rather, and I'm wondering whether there are funds that have trickled down to our district as a result of that that funding surplus that we've heard of. I know that it's only been announced here in January that that surplus is coming, but I just wanted to see whether one, we had plans for whatever surplus may be coming our way, and then two, is there, with those plans, what are you guys thinking in terms of the legislative piece for that?
Yep, and so I think the surplus that you're referencing is at the state level. We just received the county budget last week, so we're just now having our hearings on it. We had our first agency today at WSSC, but I will do more digging into what the trickle down might be from the state level. Okay. I do know that we did receive increased revenue at the county level. And actually I have my, give me 1 second. We just got these 2 days ago. This is the county budget.
Sure.
And so what I'm happy to do is actually have a town hall specifically about the budget and about how it relates to District 8. I know that there were considerable increases, and if you don't mind, I'm going to talk while I search for this document.
Yeah, no worries. I guess while you do that as well, I think in line with some of the other organizations, as Gina has been a part of with the Anderson Walker administration, we're also working with youth in terms of drones, so drone STEAM programs. We worked with Oxon Hill last year and are looking to expand those programs in the county throughout the state. So we'll be working or talking to you about that. Now, I'd love to. I'll probably reach back out to Mr. Lee as well and talk to him about some potential mentorship opportunities around STEM as well. But we are really looking forward to working with you guys in terms of mentorship and working with youth in the district.
Look forward to working with you too. And now that you said that, your name is familiar because I just spoke with Councilmember Anderson Walker 2 days ago about the work that you did with her in a drone workshop. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Is that what it is, Janice?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I believe she allocated some grant money toward that, and she just mentioned that to me literally 2 days ago. But as far as the county executive's proposed budget, just some highlights that I have here in front of me. She's proposing an increase of 4% for the library system, 2.9% for the community college, 7% increase to the police department, 8% to the fire department, 4% to the Department of Corrections, Office of the Sheriff, an increase 3%, Homeland Security 3.9%, State's Attorney just has an increase of 10%. Well, that's not right. An increase of $2 million. And so I'm happy to, and I think that's a great idea, to talk about with this additional revenue, what the county executive has proposed, what the council thinks about that, and what will ultimately happen. We can talk through that, but I think that's a great idea for us to go over the county's budget.
Sure. And with the colleagues that we have in the community, we can certainly help you spend it.
We'll see. This is a little different than the grant budget. Yes.
Yep.
And actually, President Taylor here, who's on the screen, she's actually on our grant committee. So she'll probably be I see President Taylor. I believe we have Mr. Buffalo on, and one of the things that I'm doing that is a little different is that I've taken a few community leaders that are trusted community leaders who are out that you know and trust, and I've assembled a grants committee, and every grant application will go to these individuals, and they will screen them and rank them, provide solid recommendations. And so I can only see the individuals that have their cameras on. And so there could be other members of the grant committee who are kind of in the chat or among the, I see we're at 134, but the one that I see on the screen is President Taylor of the Camp Springs Civic Association. So Mr. Lee, another good person for you to talk to, what you already said there in your corner, is Monique Taylor. And so she will be on that team helping administer grants for this office. There could be other people. Like I said, I always see people with their cameras on. And so I guess the last person would be Mr. Anthony Arrington.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Thanks for your patience.
No problem. I'll make it super, super quick so you guys can go home. I'm an educator myself, so I understand being out all day. First of all, thanks for winning your seat in office. Hope you can stay there for a while. I really do. My question is, I know this is kind of school-based, but it's also based on the District 8 as well. I live in a part of Fort Washington that's zoned for certain schools that District 8 do got opportunities for kids, but where I'm at, I'm unable to attend any of them, meaning my kids, for the future, because of how the zones are located. So my question is there a way to make sure that there's equity in the schools academically to where kids don't have to feel like they're not able to get the academic choices they have at one school within the district versus another? Thanks.
Where do you live in Fort Washington?
Swan Creek, but I'm right behind where the new school get built at. So the K-8 one. Yeah.
And you're saying that there's not enough academic programming for people who live in that part of Washington?
It depends on what school you're going to, because some of the schools further up in District 8 have a lot of options, and vice versa, the other side as well. But it seems like this little pocket where I'm at, there's not many options academically.
Right. Well, no, I'm happy to, I'm very familiar with the schools down there. I'm happy to work with you and to work with the superintendent on that. I think having high quality programs is absolutely important, and whatever I can do to help from a budget perspective to make that happen, I'm all on board for. I want to make sure that we have quality, quality tag programs or quality vocational programs, just quality programming across the board. So if there's something in particular, we can talk offline. I know you well, and Jana Parker has moved to Camp Springs, FYI. So yeah, so I'm happy to work with folks on that.
Thank you so much.
I see past President Bailey put something. I'm trying to follow the chat while
John Bailey. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I saw he.
Yes, saw something.
Allentown Road between Brinkley and Temple Hills Road, no lights or different for speed. Over the years, we have several accidents, fatalities. We need to study them as soon as possible. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is, I guess, a question for Gina or for Plachette. Are we able to go back to these comments once this is over? I know. Yes. It's recorded. Okay.
Yes, we are printing off the chat, so we'll have a printed copy of that with a download of this video as well. So that's why we know we're going to answer all of these. And perfect. Before I turn it over to close the council member to close the event, I want to just say that we did receive some advanced questions, and we want to thank Catherine Gray, Marcia Johnson. You sent us 7, and we're going to get answers for you. Wayne Wright, Steve, Rose Jordan, and Donita Buffalo. Thank you for sending your questions in. We are going to answer your questions as well. We'll probably be responding directly back to you. But I want to thank everyone for taking the time. What I love about District 8 is you all are engaged. So the engagement that we want to do with you, you all are very engaged, have always been. I love coming on there to see the faces, but also to hear about the concern and your commitment to being a part of making the community the best that it could be. So thank you again for coming out. I'm going to ask Council Member Edward Burroughs to close it out, and God bless everybody. Stay safe.
Absolutely. I was reading the message from Mr. Knuckles, and we will absolutely keep it going. Thank you so much for joining. I look forward to working hand in hand with all of you to make District 8 the best community that it can possibly be. I want to be accessible to you. As I mentioned before, we intend to do these regularly. We intend to come to your civic association meeting. We intend to be at your church, basketball game. You know, I want to make sure that if you want to meet with us, it's very easy to do. It doesn't take a lot. You know, you don't have to go through a lot of hoops and changes to do that. We're going to follow up on the issues that we heard today. I will be at the apartment complex tomorrow with our team. On Monday, Mr. Lee, I look forward to meeting with you at 3 o'clock. And anyone else, you know, we want to be very accessible. And so thank you all so much. And I look forward to working with everyone. This meeting is appreciated. Is this going to be monthly? This will be at least monthly. And if there are things that come up in between time, we can do it more frequently. Like I said, I've been speaking with the team about possibly doing something, even if it's for a short time, and it's not as formal as this, maybe every other week, just with our civic leaders and anyone who wants to join, to just say, hey, this is what has happened the last 2 weeks. This is what we followed up on. So that's something that we are exploring. And so there, any ideas that you had, like Ms. Jackson had several ideas about us creating a Nextdoor account. I think that's important that we do. I want to be able to say in 2 weeks from now, Ms. Jackson, this is our Nextdoor account. We are looking, we're monitoring things, and I want you to know that we followed up on it. And so it's important to me that you know that we have followed up on the things that you've mentioned. And I'm afraid that waiting a month for that follow-up might be a little too long away. So we'll get with the team based off the feedback and come up with a strategy for that. But thank you all so much. I could talk all night long, so I'm just going to be quiet, and I'll see you later.
Well, thank you, Councilman Burroughs. We appreciate you. And you can always count on the Denny House in supporting you as well and any initiatives you have going on. So add us to the list. We'll be there to listen as well as to act on your behalf.
Absolutely. And I spoke with Councilmember Walker too about the rain gardens a few days ago. So I look forward to partnering with the Denny House.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Sims. It was great seeing, you know, I haven't seen Ms. Sims in quite a while. So I was happy to see you on here, Ms. Sims.
Thank you. It's very good to see you too, sir.
Oh, Ms. Sims used to come straighten everybody out at the school board for years. And I haven't given up on reestablishing Forestville Military Academy. It's not my district, but I would do anything to support that.
Well, that's you and I both.
We have Miss.
But right now we're talking about just living comfortably. And especially our seniors and our youth, you know, those are my babies. Beginning to
Okay. Don't forget to call 301-952-3860 or email councildistrict8@co.pg.md.us if you want to reach us or the council member.
And we have Miss Alexandria Briggs Blake, who was the PTSA president for the state for many years and represented District 8 well. So happy to see you on here, Ms. Briggs Blake. And she asked that we go to Tucker Road Ice Rink. And so I want to make sure we do that. I see Miss Phyllis Wright is on the line.
Yes, sir. I'm right here with you.
Who is just one of the most active PTSA leaders that we have in the county, always fighting for what's right. And so, Ms. Wright, thank you for being here. It's over. I'm just rambling at this point.
I know. Are you going to say good night?
You love us. We love you,
everyone.
Love you.
Mr. Bailey on Easy Street. John Bailey.
We love your community, Councilman Burroughs.
Good night. We love you, Edward Burroughs.
Good night,
Edward.
Yes,
good night.
Have a
blessed
weekend.
Oh, Miss Doltridge is here.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi.
How's your daughter doing, Miss Doltridge?
Oh, Lord, I love you.
Doing good? Good. That's my Crossland family.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed.
Gonna make sure you send
Councilman
me a
Burroughs.
shoe. I
Thank
love
you.
what
Good
you're doing. I
night.
love it.
Good
Love it.
night.
Oh, Sharon Taylor's in the house. How you doing, Miss Taylor? Miss Taylor, how you doing? I'm Lawrence, Sharon Lawrence, not Sharon Taylor, Miss Lawrence. Lord have mercy.
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
You doing all right?
Doing good.
Fighting the good fight with Miss Monroe?
We got to keep it up.
You know, I did inquire about putting in a bill, just so you know. I said, hey, I met with the county drafters. I want to put in the bill to make it illegal to put this storage facility in this residential neighborhood.
Absolutely.
But by law, the public utilities are exempt from certain laws and regulations that I'm able to impose. And so that has to come from the state level. But I did inquire because I was absolutely going to send to bill drafting a bill to make it illegal to put it so close to a residential neighborhood. But, you know, Brandon, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, just like you stated, there are some rules that prevent certain facilities from being located in certain areas of the county, but there are exceptions for public utilities. And so you're absolutely right, has to go to the state. But we have partners there and influence there. So definitely let's talk about it and see what we can do.
Absolutely, because Ms. Taylor, I was about to put in the bill to say Pepco, you know, you can't do that. But
Well, we appreciate you all that you do for us, because we're just going to keep up the fight. You know, it's about life and safety and health. So we got to do what we got to do.
oh, thank you so
Can I
much.
ask a related follow-up to that? Is the Citizens Advisory Group that was part of the PEPCO process going to continue? PEPCO was saying that the decision on that lies in the hands of your office as to whether that citizen group would continue or not.
You know, that's news to me. I did not realize that was up to our office. And in fact, I know at one point there was a different group of citizens that were not even near the impacted site that was working on it. But that's definitely something that we can talk about. I'm happy to keep it going. I find it interesting that Pepco said that, because the citizens in that group and outside that group have spoken very clearly, and Pepco is still doing what they want to do. So
absolutely,
you know, it's kind of like you want me to keep your group going just so that you can do what you want to do. But let's talk about that, and we'll follow up with Pepco on that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Councilman Burroughs. Sometimes we have to come out of our own backyard, and I'm speaking of the state of Maryland. Sometimes you got to go to the federal level.
You know, we are open to doing that, and I think we've already sent on behalf of Camp Springs one letter to our congressional partners, and we're happy to look into doing more of that.
Okay, thank you so very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, and thank you so much.
Good night.